All right, here we go. Overdrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 4. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan. How we feeling on a beautiful Thursday afternoon?
Beautiful. And you talk about the weather, Hazy, as us Canadians like to do. There's a lot of crazy things going around in the world today, going on. This is not like earth-shattering stuff, but I saw a guy today, and I think this needs to be addressed. He was on a bike with one of the engines on the bike, and I think when you have the bike with the engine, you lose the ability to wear the Lance Armstrong gear. Because there's an engine on. You know what I mean? You can't.
So like an electric bike, you mean?
Yes, and he had like the spandex top.
No, you can't do that.
No, you cannot, because you're basically riding a motorcycle.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're on a moped, effectively.
Right, and I don't know, maybe this guy's trying to fool some of his employee friends. I don't know, but you're not riding a bike and you can't wear that gear. You cannot.
I think that gear is the goofiest gear in sports. I really do. Yes. I understand that it's very difficult to do, you know, like the long distance biking, especially like, you know, you find, I see it up by my place all the time. There's a lot of kind of off-roads with big hills. You don't need the gear.
No,
you don't need the aerodynamic gear, the goofy helmet, the glasses.
And I love, because what they love doing is they like stopping to get a coffee somewhere. And you see the guy with the pro boiler, and he looks like he has no business with that gear on. And he has, you know the guy I'm talking about.
I know exactly. He's got a beard.
But I don't care how,
even
if I was Rod Brindamore, I'm not wearing the cycling gear. I'll have some sweatshorts and a T-shirt, and that's it. And that's how I'm riding the bike.
That's right.
If you went to downtown Kleinburg every Sunday, that's what it was. I mean, there's a stream of them. But the only thing I will suggest is the pants apparently have some padding. You don't want to get the hemorrhoids.
You're right about that, Noodles.
He's not.
Yes, he is about the padding. The thing is, the padding's important, because I have run into an issue myself. This is a true story. I was telling you guys that I got engaged.
Padding does not help.
Let me tell you the story.
Go ahead.
We got engaged in Amsterdam. I told you that. One of the only guys ever to be like, Amsterdam seems like a good place to get engaged. The next day, we rented bikes, and we biked around that city for hours.
Oh, no.
I was in a bad place. A day into engagement, it was really, really uncomfortable because I didn't have the padded shorts.
Butthole?
Yes, we're talking basically, it was a borderline emergency. Like a borderline, we need to find flights home, and I need to be laying on the floor on my stomach when we fly back to Toronto, because I'm dying here because of this stupid bike. And so I get the padding, man. I understand the padding. Everything else is unnecessary. Everything else. Right. The really tight tarp that they don't even have a shirt underneath. Because you see guys in the summer, they'll roll it down like to their... That's when you're really trying to send a vibe out that's unnecessary. You'll see the guy with no shirt on and the bike uniform rolled down to his waist. And he's a mess. And he's got sunglasses that probably cost $750. And you know what they were? They were cleats. They wear bike cleats to make sure that their feet don't slip.
They screw into the pedals, yes.
Yes.
But I just love the pro boiler and the barrels sticking out from underneath the Lance Armstrong shirt.
Mm-hmm.
But he is going with that gear, and you don't need to. I'm here to tell you, you don't need to.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Go with it, but you know what? You can't be riding an electric bike. That's the thing.
This was an isolated incident today. Yeah. I don't think anyone would have the jam to go in a group of cyclists and be leading the pack on an electric bike, because people, I think they take it seriously and they would want to fight you.
Well, and I guess there needs to be some self-awareness here. I'm sure non-golfers would show up at a course and see us decked out in gear and think these guys are losers. You know, like that guy's going to shoot 88 and he's got brand new shoes and he's got a tight tuck and a tailor-made tour hat, and it's like, you suck. Like, you're not that good.
You can go to a city course and wear jean shorts and cowboy boots like people do. I don't care what you wear on the golf course.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying, like, bikers who take it really seriously would probably look at golfers that take it seriously and say, it's not like you're on tour. Like, sure, they're not, Tour de France or anything like that, but it's not like you're playing the Masters, So I guess there needs to be an element of self-reflection is all I'm saying. But, yeah, I mean, some guy actually sending a tweet right now saying, I'm going to Amsterdam a week today, and my girlfriend's begging us to get engaged there. Feels like a premature Dear Hazy B.
But you just told him, don't do it there.
Well, I didn't say that. I thought it was great. That's where we started our trip. We got engaged, and then we toured the rest of, not all of Europe, but we flew around. We went to a number of different countries. So it was actually Jennifer Hedger, that gave me that advice. She said, if you're going to do it over there, do it at the start so you can basically have like an engagement honeymoon while you're in Europe. But
Hedge, veteran move.
Hedge, really
That's a
veteran move. Very, very veteran. So anyway, yeah, I guess I support that idea. Go for it, man. Go for it. Find the bridge of 7 canals.
I also saw one thing on the internet today that got some big stir.
What was that?
It was you swinging the clubs.
Swinging left, yeah, TaylorMade.
What's the feedback? Where are we at?
What do you expect, Noodles? It's literally unanimous. People are saying I should be hitting the ball left-handed.
Right, and I didn't get to these people individually tell Hazy B. It's right in front of you. If you want to change your game and put more money in your pocket, gambling with JT and Tux and company, it's right there for you.
Yeah, I think you're right. I can't really argue against it. Like, I'm sure.
What can't you get around? Like, what is the one hurdle? You just can't get it. You can't say to yourself, now I'm lefty.
Yeah, well, I don't want you to be right in the end. I'll be fully clear on that. So, I mean, I'll be as transparent as I can be. The idea that I need to admit you've been right for years would sicken me. I
don't forget it ever happened, and I won't. I'll just shake your hand and say,
"No, you won't.
Partsy.
You'll never stop
You're
talking
now Phil
about
Mickelson." No, I will never bring it up again.
Yeah.
Congrats, Partsy, and you're a great golfer now.
Yeah,
welcome to the scratch handicap world.
Listen, the grip felt weird. The follow through, the footwork. It was not exactly a Picasso on the left side, but it was a more athletic swing. I mean, full disclosure, it was more athletic, and I'm sure Joe from the Bridge can post it at some point. Our friends at TaylorMade posted that. I think Nicky jamming me up a little bit because I had some good right swings, and the one he posted was a butchering, I'll admit. It was an awful swing, really awful swing. But, yeah, that was cool yesterday, and you mentioned Partsy. I just saw, there it is up on TSN 4. It's an ugly right-handed swing. It's ugly, and the lefty is actually very smooth. It's got a Mickelson vibe. But,
very natural.
Yeah, very natural. You're right, Noodles. I am naturally a lefty, as you know. You mentioned the word Partsy. I just saw Sarah Davis. I was in here doing a hit with Sarah, and she's like, what is Partsy? Can you explain that? And it made me think, how often do we need to reset on all the stupid things we say on this show? Like, how many people are watching wondering, what is that? Like, who is Doogie?
Dude,
what is Partsy? What does all this kind of stuff mean?
Honestly, we're in too deep. We're in too deep where if we just started the show in September, we could keep refreshing it, saying, remember, when we say Partsy, it means this. But we're 8 years in. We can't backtrack with all the garbage that we... Yeah.
It's like me hitting right-handed in golf, dude. That's it, exactly. We're too deep. We're too far in to revert and go back the other way.
If there was something about the show where you would say, let's completely reinvent ourselves and it'll be that much better, we would do it.
Right.
We would do it because we would say, look at where we can go.
It's funny you guys say that. I wrote on my phone a while ago, like just called overdrive language. Look what I wrote: tarp, snout, greasy, chirp, dart, skullet, three-finger pour, sandy for sandwiches.
Yes.
Rick breath. That's a blast from the past.
That one, I'll bet you a large portion of the audience doesn't remember Rick breath. That was like 7 years ago. Do you want to give a refresher? Do you want to give a refresher on what Rick breath is?
To fully have Rick breath, you need a large uncut mustache, and you need to hammer darts and crush brown liquor together. And when it all comes through the stash, hello, Rick breath. Hello, Rick breath. Go ahead with the rest. 6 Busch Light,
6 Bud Light, and I love them, tall boys.
That guy's got Rick breath, no question. He had a stash. I love the mustache is the final ingredient. You have to have it.
Because it comes out through the mouth and it curls through there differently, and it's a different vibe.
Like a filter.
Yes, it is a filter.
Lieutenant Dan,
Ooh, that's an old one, too. Yeah, that was the Leafs
Bar
at one
play.
point. Bar play. Yeah.
Jerry and Phil Connors. Those are the ones that I wrote down. But I wrote those down like months ago.
Yeah.
Just thinking that those could be slogans, or we'd do T-shirts or hats or something, and now that's our language.
Throw Partsy in there. Partsy needs to be a part of that program. And your Partsy, Luke Wilson, will be in studio in about an hour. I have the game tonight.
And I'm telling you what right now, we joked about it last week. It is do or die for you this weekend. If you get clobbered this weekend, your season's over. And we might have to switch the teams around and restart because you're not coming back from a -9 deficit.
It's concerning. Admittedly, it's concerning. I'm up against it. I'm going uphill, and I got to pick winners, and it's got to start tonight. Pittsburgh, Tennessee. Kenny
Brutal
Pickett.
Game. I hate it.
I know.
Cabbage fingers.
I'm not a huge fan of Kenny Pickett. Small hands, cold weather.
Yeah.
But they got that Will Levis kid playing in Tennessee. I'm not sure the Titans are not a great team either. But I like Vrabel as a coach. I like Tomlin as a coach. Short week in Pitt. Anyway, we'll get to that in about an hour. And the Leafs are in Boston tonight. And these are the games we circle. We talked actually a lot about it yesterday, even though they were coming off a game yesterday. It was more about focusing on what was ahead. And no McAvoy tonight, no Grzelcyk tonight. Yet Boston is off to a great start, and I think the most impressive start in the league. I've said that countless times over the last 2 weeks. As great as Vegas has been, Colorado's been very good. There's been great individual starts. I think the fact that Boston, coming off the year they did last year, losing Bergeron, losing Krejci, trading Hall for nothing, Bertuzzi walks, Orlov walks, for them to go out the way they did against Florida, to have all that change in the offseason, and for them to start 8-0-1.
It's incredible.
It's just an incredible start.
And don't expect anything from the Leafs because part of their DNA is it doesn't matter if a roster goes out there and 5 of their best players are not on the ice. It's not like the Leafs say. It's just something about them. They don't say we should roll over these guys tonight and steamroll them. A bunch of games, I've been down at the rink. I've done them on the panel. It's not like they roll over a team if their 4 best players are out of the lineup. Time and time again, it almost seems like even Steven, I don't know why they do that. I don't know why that's their approach, but that's
they better
approach.
show up tonight, though. This is it's not a must win. It's the 10th game of the season, but you start.
Yeah, but it's a turnaround game.
They
lost the last
one. They had an awful
ugly
game the other night.
Yeah.
Flat game the other night. They're 6 points back at Boston tonight. If the Bruins win in reg, they're 8 points clear. That starts to, it's not far off where you say, all right, the division's out. What are you chasing at this point? Tampa's alive. Montreal's off to a good start. Detroit hasn't slowed down. I think we all anticipate Buffalo, Florida, Ottawa are still going to make noise. This division is playing out the way we thought it would play out. And the only team making it easy on themselves right now is Boston. So, the Leafs have got to redeem themselves considering how flat and just lifeless they were the other night. And Samsonov expected to get the start. I'm not surprised by that. I guess we'll find out if it's the right move. But this is a bigger game for the Leafs than it is the Bruins. Yet I expect Boston to show up and play well. I don't think they're going to hand anything out for free tonight because they haven't done that in over a year.
No, they never do. It doesn't matter what's in the lineup, who retires, who goes away. You've talked about it so many times, Hayes. When you start like Vegas and Boston has, you're almost getting in. You're going to go through some ups and downs, and you could completely I shouldn't say that because the Leafs, historically, they're the ones that went off the train going off the track. They were in first in the East at one point.
Yeah.
But we're not going to get into that.
No.
But you start off like that, Vegas and Boston, you're pretty much getting in. You go through the ups and downs of the season, but to start like that makes everybody's life so much easier. Not that they want it to be, and it's a tough turnaround for the Leafs. You had a stinker against the Kings, day off, fly to Boston. It's not exactly ideal for that get back game, but they got to do it. It's one of those games where they should be fired up and they should play their best.
Well, the thing I noticed about the teams that are having success, guys, and I use the word buttoned up. If they're buttoned up, they're feeling well, their systems are in place. You watch Boston. I watched Dallas play last night. I watched, I've seen, Ottawa play top tier teams as well. When those teams like Boston's kind of hit the ground running, they picked up where they left off in the regular season, but that team plays the same way. And that's what it is. The Leafs got to get to those habits where it's okay, that's what Leafs hockey is. And the other night, yes, that's a one-off. I think we can all agree. But I look at the teams that are top-tier teams. Vegas just knows how to play. They know how to play. They get to it immediately. They drop the puck. And they might lose games, but they're not going to lose because of systematic, flaws. They might lose because of a hot goaltender. They get in penalty trouble. The Leafs got to get to some consistency in their game. They're not there yet.
Right. And I'm looking at Matthews and Marner tonight. Like, everyone I'm talking to, everyone's driving the same conversation. I'm just talking friends and people around town. It's like, specifically Marner, it starts with him. He's had a really slow start. Like, he has not had a dominant game that I can recall, right? They played 9 games. I don't remember one where I said, that's Mitch Marner. He's had some good games, but he is capable of being great. And he's got to be great because of, the issues they might have with depth. Their defense is banged up right now. Who knows what type of approach Ilya Samsonov is going to have tonight. And what I'm curious is to find out how long it's going to be before Sheldon Keefe decides to change the lines up. Because,
how long can you keep looking at
I don't think you can go much longer than 20 minutes tonight. It was always the other way around, right? It was, we got to get Marner to go get Tavares going, or we got to move Willie up so that he's playing with Matthews and he catches the energy that Matthews is bringing to the table. The roles have been flipped. Like, right now, the spark plug on this team is William Nylander.
Exactly.
That's the guy that can get Matthews going tonight. And
maybe that's what should happen.
I think
give
it should.
10 minutes. Give it 10 minutes and say, Nylander, you're going up with Austin Matthews and Tyler Bertuzzi or whoever the left winger is, and you're our heater line. And Mitch, you got to go figure it out with JT. That's what's going to happen.
I agree. I'm waiting for it. I understand why they want to be committed to Matthews and Marner, and you have a whole season ahead of you. It's going to return at some point. But Tavares has been played really well, and Willie's been outstanding.
Yeah,
so,
and it's better for the accountability too, Hayes, because guys aren't dumb in the locker room. If they screw up a couple shifts, you get bumped down. You have a bad period, you get bumped down. And if one thing's not like the other, where it's like guys can go out there and do whatever and struggle and not perform and not play well and they keep the same spot, guys are wondering what the heck's going on. It's about accountability and a standard where everybody in the lineup's got to uphold to.
That's right. Well, and last night, Noodles, you were in the building. I was watching the end. I watched basically the third period of that Flames game, and I was flipping back and forth. The World Series was great until the 9th inning, and Texas just said, check, please, we're taking this. Credit to them, credit to Bruce Bochy, credit to Marcus Semien. Seager does it again. We'll get to that later this afternoon. The Raptors with a big win last night, too, and they're in action in Philly tonight. We'll get to that. But it's a tight game. It's a one-goal game. Goalies pulled. Draws in Dallas's end, 50 seconds on the clock, and Jonathan Huberdeau's on the bench. And all I could think of was when Sutter did that to him last year, all hell was breaking loose. And Darryl Sutter was the worst guy ever. And how dare he? And you got to make sure Jonathan Huberdeau is granted a longer leash. And it's taken Huska 9 games to be like, I know where he was coming from. I can't put that guy on the ice. And he can't. I mean, he played 20 minutes last night. He brought nothing to the table. And the Flames lost again, and it's 2-7-1.
And you guys you watched it, Hayes and Noodles. You were in the building. As soon as Dallas scored those quick couple, it was like they were done. Like they were toast.
They played better in the third. They did have life in the third, but you're right though. Oh, it was over. Like at the end of the second, it was like they're not winning this game.
Total collapse, and it's like we know we're not good enough. And good night. Let's get this over with. Yep. It was tough to see that turnaround in Dallas take over, and then it's like game over. Good night.
We're done. We're finished.
But we talk about it all the time. Is who's going to drag them out of it? Like who's the guy? Who's the Jason Robertson? Who's the? I mean, Ottinger played well. Like this kid's a player.
Yep.
The goalie's a player, but their D. Like I look at Dallas. We always talk about up and coming teams, and like that team is not Ben and Sagan. That they're secondary guys, right?
Exactly. They're way down the list. It's Hintz and Robertson and Heiskanen and Ottinger. That's the team.
That's and they're young and they're stars. Like that's you talk about up and coming teams. Dallas is one of them. And our buddy Pete DeBoer is a hell of a coach.
Yes, he is.
They're in good shape there. And
Wyatt
right,
Johnston, he's like 19 years old or 20 years old, and he's a star for them, like a really good player. And if you're Huska, Noodles, you got to be looking at Huberdeau saying, this 20-year-old kid is like outplaying you and being a difference maker. And I don't know. It's got to be. I don't know how long you can talk about that because it's only going to get worse if he keeps going out and playing like that. I don't know how it
There's
gets
no
better.
protecting him. I mean, again, they played him. He played 20 minutes last night. He didn't get benched, but it came to a point where that Zeri kid, who had a good night, really good night, scored a goal. He looked good.
But what's that saying about him, Hayes? With what did you say? 50 seconds
50
left.
seconds left. Huberdeau was on the bench. There was a draw in Dallas's end, and he was on the bench. And he didn't get back on the ice.
I just want to know, what is it? Like, you claim the coach took the fun out of it last year, and it was no fun. So what the hell is it?
It's him. He can't play right now. And it's really a drop that is borderline unprecedented for a guy who's 30. You know, like, we get it. At some point, father age is going to win the fight. But that's when you go from 37 to 38, 39 to 40, not 29, not 28 to 30. He had 115 points 2 years ago. He was up for the Hart. Yeah. I don't know if he was nominated, but he was top 5, top 6. Yeah. Guys, it's a shade of his former self. Not even close. Yeah. And Calgary's in big trouble, man.
They can't blame it on Daryl Sutter. You're right. And you make a great point, Brian. I didn't even think of that. That would have been headlines. We would have been talking about it. Daryl Sutter.
It would have been his fault, Noodles.
Yeah. What a jerk for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have been his fault last night. How dare you not put him on the ice? And he didn't deserve to be. And Huska's a new coach, and he's like, what do you want? I'm putting 6 guys on I think can score. Huberdeau's not going to bring that. Mark Masters coming up from Boston. We'll get Mark's tee up of the game, his take on Samsonov, and what kind of impression you expect to see out of him tonight. What kind of post-game audio? It's like I'm waiting for it. How's he gonna play? What's he gonna say post-game? And what's up with Matthews and Marner? A lot of things to get into with Mark. And we got Luke Wilson coming up today. Mike Rupp will join us later this afternoon. Bunch of games in the NHL. We got the NFL kicking off tonight. Week 9 in the NFL already. Week 9. It's amazing how fast it goes. And the Raptors back in Philly playing Nick Nurse tonight. And we'll start looking ahead to that after a really impressive win. Like, they deserve a ton of credit. I was really doubting if they could put offense on the board. They did last night. Dame and Giannis did nothing.
Dude, they were
nothing.
So bad. That whole team was at the Peelers.
They were terrible.
My word.
Something was up with them, but also, you can't take away from the Raptors. They showed up and ready to play. They defended them hard. But Dame barely put up shots. I think Dame had like 8 shots last night, and Giannis had 11 or something, which is just something you never expect to see from either guy, let alone both on the same night. But Scotty had a great night. Pascal had a great night. They needed that. They needed some positive vibes, and they got it last night. So Raptors, Philly tonight. We'll tee that up. Again, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, the Thursday nighter, and the Leafs are in Boston. It's going to be a fun one today. Mark Masters coming up. Mike Rupp coming up. Luke Wilson. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. Overdrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Kind of sound like Rob Manfred right now. Bobby Mans was struggling last night, handing out the commissioner's trophy. His voice
What was he saying?
Sounded like he was cheering all night, like he had lost his voice, or it was almost like he was going through puberty. It was a weird cracking going on.
Cracking?
Yeah. You want to hear Rob Manfred last night? All right, here he is.
Yes.
It's not Chevy Guy. Got to get Chevy Guy. Whenever we hand out the World Series, Rick Wilde needs to be represented on this show.
Well, have Rick Wilde ready right after Bobby Mans.
Okay, let's play Bob Manfred, and then we'll follow it up with Chevy Guy Rick Wilde.
63 years is a long time to wait, but the Texas Rangers are World Series champions. It's my distinct pleasure to present the Commissioner's Trophy to Ray Davis, Neil Liebman, and Chris Young.
Yeah,
technology and stuff.
Yeah, so that's a struggle. We'll later in the afternoon we'll do the full. We need the full Chevy Guy, JP.
Yes, I want the visual of him too.
Yes, we might be having some technical difficulties here in terms of the visual, but we got to do it because it's him, Madison Bumgarner. It's
Aaron Andrews.
Aaron Andrews was there. That's right.
Yes.
Aaron Andrews was in the mix, and Rick Wilde, who was a manager of a Kansas City Chevrolet, is like, whose idea was it? Let's bring Rick Wilde in.
Or no, like that is like a big venture. Like
massive.
Someone up top said, Well, just grab a guy from the local Chevy place and bring him in there to present the World Series MVP.
That's what I'm saying. Like that, Chevy's got enough money. They could have hired Ryan Reynolds to come in and represent the company.
You have to hire an actor for that.
Yes.
And they got a local service
car
guy
salesman from Kansas City, Rick Wilde, who was probably a Royals fan and was miserable that the Giants had just won.
Dude, when that was brought to his attention, he probably said, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Right. Rick, we have a meeting planned. We need to reveal something to you.
Yes.
You're going to hand out the MVP at the World Series. Great idea. That sounds like a great idea. Let's have Rick Wilde. We should see we got to get Rick out. Maybe hand out the cup, hand out the Larry O'Brien. Like he should just do the full circuit.
Anything.
That would be awesome.
I love it. Technology and stuff. Easily my favorite clip we've ever played. Like, for whatever reason, we're kind of looking back on the history of the show, and Doogie sent out a tweet asking people, any other slang that we use a lot on the show, and a lot of people bringing up grit grinder, hyperbaric chamber. There's a ton of them that we've used over the years, but Chevy guy would be high on that list. Chevy guy should be. Rick Wilde. I'll never forget his name, ever. All right, Leafs Bruins tonight. Let's head down to Boston. What a segue. Here's our TSN reporter, Mark Masters. How you doing, Mark?
Very well, guys. Good to be on with you.
Thank you for doing this. You travel with the team. You're there for 82 games, and I would assume, some of them feel different than the others, both ends of the spectrum. When San Jose's in town, is probably not going to have a ton of buzz, but I would assume around the team and around the media and all that, is there kind of a bit of a hype and a bit of a buzz for a game like tonight in Boston?
I mean, it's hard to tell. Certainly they were saying that this morning. They had a skate. The Bruins are at their facility, so it doesn't quite have the same feel with like both teams in the building and lots of media coming in and out. But, you do sense that they know they have to respond following what happened Tuesday. So there's definitely a different energy from Tuesday. But I guess we'll find out. The truth will be in how they come out tonight and face a Bruins team that's missing 3 defensemen. It's right there for them tonight to bounce back and make a statement.
Mark, would you ever get a vibe on Mitch and Austin, how they were playing, or do they kind of keep it even keel throughout the year? Like you wouldn't know looking at them or how their vibe is if they were playing poorly or playing well. Where do you think they are right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think Matthews is pretty even keel. He doesn't really give away a lot. Marner is a bit easier to read, or at least you can tell kind of when he's feeling it, certainly after the game Tuesday night, saying, we need to be better and we will be better. I mean, that's a little bit different for him. He'd kind of been saying we got to stay the course, not get frustrated. So you can sense that they, and even Matthews yesterday when he talked to us, there's a bit of an urgency, even though that it is early in the season. So Matthews is somewhat unflappable. Marner a bit more, and we spoke to him again today, and he said they got to be way hungrier. And he was talking about competitiveness and winning battles, and Marner led the league in takeaways last year, and he's way down the list this year. So they definitely know it's not there right now, and this is a team the way it's built. When the top line's not going, you can tell, and it's kind of middling, and that's where they're at.
Mark, Ilya Samsonov gets the start. We've talked about him and his body language, his comments after the game. Where do you think he's at? But also, where do you think the team's at with him as far as level of confidence in him?
Yeah, Sheldon Keefe was asked, why do you want to go back to him? And he said, well, he's battling, and he took a step Saturday, and they want him to play. So it wasn't exactly a ringing endorsement. Like, he didn't come out and say, this guy won our big games last year. This is a big game. Of course, we're going back to him. And obviously, Joseph Wool has outplayed him, but they want to get him up and running. They're committed to that, and that was the explanation. Is they don't want him sitting too long. He's working hard, and they get him back in. Samsonov's been very open about where he's at. If he's switching his mask every game now, more so, with the goal song early in the year, now it's Samsonov's mask. He had a new one on Saturday in Nashville. He had another. He went back to his old one at the morning skate today. He says he's not superstitious. I said a little stitious. He agreed. So we'll see where he's at tonight, because it does feel like a big game. And, if he's really building something, he can give them a good performance, because the Bruins, whoever they start, they're getting a great goaltending performance. Both those guys are incredible. I believe it's Swayman tonight. He's undefeated. So yeah, well, we'll find out. It's still a bit of a question mark. That was an interesting decision. Joseph Wool's Boston College kid. They could have given him kind of a homecoming game tonight, but they go back to Samsonov, and they're searching for a lot of things right now, and they'd like to get Samsonov is one of them to get up and running here.
Masters, do you think Keefe has any appetite? Hayes brought this up earlier. William Nylander's been their most consistent player throughout 9 games. Best player. Has there been any appetite from him, do you think, to put him with Austin Matthews and just say, you guys are our best 2 guys right now, go out there and get him? Or is that just not going to happen?
Well, it's not going to happen to start the game based on the morning skate. I will say this. I thought it really stood out to me. John Klingberg called Nylander our best player right now to start the season, and I think it's true. But I don't know in my years of covering the Leafs if I've ever heard someone refer to William Nylander as our best player. And I know they're fellow Swedes and they played at the Worlds, but, there's Austin Matthews in that dressing room and Mitch Marner. So usually guys would say one of our best players or, just find a different way. So I thought that really stood out to me. He's playing well with John Tavares. I think Keefe is reluctant to change that mix just with how they've been going. I think another reason why Nylander's play standing out is Matthews and Marner haven't been going, but we've seen Nylander get bumped up there in a couple of games, right? Nylander's played with Matthews and Marner, including on Tuesday when they need a spark. So in each of the last 2 years, they've split up Matthews and Marner after a poor start to the season for the team and put Nylander with Matthews and Marner with Tavares. It hasn't reached that point yet. I guess they had a better October by a game than last year. They were 4-4-2, 5-3-1. in this October, so it's been a bit better. Hasn't been quite as dire, but I think we're probably getting there to that point. If Matthews and Marner don't get rolling, and if they don't get a win tonight, I think we're getting into that realm. Keefe doesn't like to do it. He likes to be patient. Those guys have built up a lot of trust, but we're getting to that realm, it feels like right now, guys.
We have Mark Masters ahead of Maple Leafs Bruins tonight. The fourth line has been driving conversation here, largely driven by Ryan Reeves in particular, who his first 2 games, he had a couple of massive hits, a couple of big fights, and everyone was loving him, right? Like everyone down in the building anyway was standing on their feet and cheering him on and loving what he was bringing to the table. And now it's been quiet, not as aggressive, certainly not fighting. He's not going to supply offense. When you think of the fourth line, though, how much of that conversation should be driven by him as opposed to Pontus Holmberg, Noah Gregor, and going into a big game like tonight, Reeves' first opportunity to play as a Maple Leaf in Boston. What do you expect him to play like, and at what point would you expect him to start throwing bigger hits and possibly start fighting again?
It feels like he has a very specific utility for this team. It's
right.
Boston, you're walking in there, you'd expect him to do something. Lucic is out. I'm not sure who he can engage with. You don't want to take a penalty and put your team down, considering how poorly the penalty kill has been going this year. I don't know what that line doesn't really have an identity, right? Gregor's actually 4th on the team in shots somehow. I guess he shoots a lot. Holmberg's, maybe stabilized things a little bit. They're in the center ice position, but they're getting scored on a lot. Again, it happened Tuesday. They looked a little bit out of sorts down there. And, yeah, I don't know. Reeves, you're right. He's not been the factor the last couple of games. So let's see what he does tonight, because the team's searching for it a bit. They need some energy, perhaps, and I just don't know who his dance partner is going to be and how he finds a way. But that's on him, I guess, as the guy who's self-proclaimed kind of energy generator to do it. But that's a line that it's been a net negative. And, I think it's been a problem. They can't roll these lines. They can't get, Sheldon Keefe talking this morning about we haven't had offensive zone time consistently, and we need every line going to really do that and do what the Kings did to them at the end of the second period there. And they really haven't been able to trust that fourth line. So I'll be watching Reeves. I'll be very interested to see those first few shifts today to see if he can't find a way to generate some energy and do something positive, because we really haven't seen much of it of late.
Enjoy it down there, Mark. We always appreciate you doing this, pal, and we'll do it again soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Mark Masters, our TSN Maple Leaf reporter, live in Boston. Probably flew in yesterday.
I love the
little
game
check-in.
day check-in with Mark Masters.
Little check-in with Masters with Samsonov going tonight. We didn't ask him about the trivia scene in Boston. I don't know if it has a great trivia reputation. I wouldn't be surprised. If there's trivia in Boston, Masters and Jonas have found it.
Imagine the cool cities and vibes that he wastes going to trivia.
Nashville's where it started. They said they were in Nashville, Tennessee.
That makes me sick.
Yes.
That actually makes me sick. Like
that one's sickening.
To pass up on live music and some of the most upcoming talent in the world in country music.
Why couldn't it just be, hey, Myrtle, Jonas, let's go have some cold beers? Like, that's it.
No.
Yeah.
It's trivia. Out of town. Not anywhere close to Broadway and the Strip in Nashville. New York, I think they've done it. Vegas. I don't know if there's trivia in Vegas. I can't imagine there would be. Who the hell is going to Vegas to play trivia? But if there is,
I bet you they've done it.
They found it. The two of them have found it. And
they have gambling attached to it or something, though. You
that's
have to do something.
Yeah, it's got to be. There's got to be something devious, right? That comes with the trivia in Vegas, like it's strip. It's like strip trivia.
A strip club.
Yeah, it's strip club trivia. All right, that's something. I don't know if the boys will be into that.
Not the best.
TSN 1050's Leafs lineup is your chance to win Leaf tickets every week all season long. Every weekday we'll announce a current or former Maple Leaf player, and on Fridays you'll have a chance to call in and name the Maple Leaf lineup of the week. Today's player of the day, Andrew Raycroft. Andrew Raycroft. He's got a Maple Leaf alumni jacket and a Bruins alumni jacket. Andrew Raycroft. This week we're giving away a pair of tickets to see the Maple Leafs take on Jonathan Huberdeau and the Calgary Flames. November 10th. Next Friday, the Flames are in town. Feels like a must-win for the Leafs. Will probably be a must-win for Calgary, though, right? You start 2-7-1. You better start picking up some points. So we're giving away those tickets tomorrow. You got to listen tomorrow for the fifth and final Maple Leaf Player of the Week. All right, Luke Wilson will be in studio. Mike Rupp will join us a little bit later this afternoon. The World Series has been handed out. We'll get into it. The Raptors back in action tonight. And LeBron James, the oldest guy in the NBA, continues to just put up massive nights. He did it again last night. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Luke Wilson in studio in about 15 minutes. Huge week in the NFL. A lot of marquee games. Thursday night or tonight, Pittsburgh, Tennessee. And now the World Series has been handed out. And I don't think it's a surprise. Like, the ratings were really struggling. When you have Arizona, Texas, and it ends in 5, that's
why doesn't
tough to sell.
outside markets would watch Yankees, San Fran, just because? Is that what the deal
the
is?
brands, man. It's brand recognition, right? That's why the Cowboys would do bigger ratings than the Cardinals. You know, it's not that the Cardinals can't bring ratings; they will, but the Cowboys just elevate that much more. Like this weekend, the 4:00 game, I think it's 4:25 on Fox, is Dallas against Philly, and the other two games are terrible. Like, terrible games. They are going to do, they might do 30 million. Like, on Fox in the U.S., I would not be shocked if their ratings hit 30 million.
Guess who's under the spotlight for that game? One player. Take a guess who it is.
Dak Prescott?
No.
Yeah.
No? Micah Parsons?
Micah Parsons for the comments when he was pumping the Philadelphia Eagles tires.
Yes.
Saying they're by far the best team in the division. What a dumb comment.
Yeah, he better show up. He will. I mean, I'd be surprised if he didn't show up. I still think Dak, though, is the guy, right? A big game on the road. If Dak's throwing picks again.
Whose pick is that? Do we know? Because I think the Eagles win that by 30.
I can't remember. Is that my pick, Doogie? I can't remember because there's there's a Germany game. Go ahead, Doogie. Jump on the mic and just give us. You don't need your headphones. You can just go ahead, Doogie. Go ahead.
All right. The pick for the Cowboys and Eagles. Timo and Wilson.
Timo and Wilson. All right. I like it. A little suspense there. Doogie Wildy. Rick
Doogie needed
Doogie.
his headphones for that?
Yeah, he put his headphones on. It's a quick comment, Doogie. I just need a quick little comment.
I've got a comment. Do you think Doogie tries to change his voice a little bit?
Yes. I think he's got a broadcasting voice. I do. I think Doogie, I think it sounds phenomenal. Like he's got an EA Sports kind of, it's in the game type of tone. It's a baritone. So
Doogie,
you're right.
Just say this, repeat after me. If it's in the game, it's in the game.
If it's in the game, it's in the game.
Yeah, that's pretty good, man. That's pretty impressive.
Whoa.
That's pretty impressive. Rick Doogie from Kansas City. You guys want to hear the back-to-back Manfred
Only
last
if there's
night?
all the. Only
Yeah, we
if
have the
there's
video,
visual.
too. We have the video. So let me set this up. Last night, Texas wins the World Series. Corey Seager gets the MVP. Seager, what a signing. Marcus Semien as well. Like, one-year wonder in Toronto. I said last night, outside of Kawhi, which Kawhi was the ultimate one-year wonder because of what happened, in recent memory, we're talking since the year 2000, I think Marcus Semien would be in second place. He had such a great year as a Blue Jay, set records for offense as a second baseman here. Then, of course, they let him walk. Of course, they don't pay him. Why would they? They'd rather play Kevin Biggio at second base or Whit Merrifield. And he goes and he wins the World Series in Texas, and he played great last night. So they're all partying. It's in Arizona. The owner's down there. And here's Rob Manfred handing out the commissioner's trophy.
63 years is a long time to wait, but the Texas Rangers are World Series champions. It's my distinct pleasure to present the commissioner's trophy to Ray Davis, Neil Liebman, and Chris Young.
Yeah, there was some struggles there for Bob.
You know
Manfred.
what that is? He obviously doesn't cheer at that games. He got slaughtered the night before the game, and there's no other excuse for that voice.
You think that's a hangover voice?
That's a guy that had 35 drinks with colleagues at a big uppity-up event in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Trust me, I know.
Yeah, you never know.
He doesn't yell at games. He's not a yeller. A commissioner isn't a yeller. He got slaughtered with some high ups from
Chevy,
MLB, and Chevy, and it was he was Colin Montgomery all around the room with cocktails, and that's what his voice ended up as.
Yeah, I mean,
Another one of our sayings.
How else could you explain that voice?
Grin screwing, like Monty's grin screw.
Yeah, like the Chevy guy. Hey, welcome to the final World
Bobby
Series.
Mann's grin
Bobby
screwing.
Mann's would grin screw the pants off of a bunch of people out in Arizona.
Yeah, you could be right. He was probably hoping it would go 6. He could recover, right? Fly back down to Texas.
He's like, they better not win tonight. I cannot go out there sweating in a private box, and they won.
Yeah, they won because that was a real struggle. Like, he really sounded awful last night. All right, so with that in mind, this is one of our all-time favorite clips. We play it every year right after the World Series.
But hang on a second. Let me just back one thing up, Hayes.
Yeah.
When you're Bobby Mann's, who's his right-hand man? Do you know?
It's a deputy commissioner. I'm not sure exactly.
You get the deputy commissioner. You get in his ear and say, "Look, you're coming on the field with me because I can't talk right now. I'm all banged up, and you're coming to present the trophy. I'll just stand beside you."
No, you
So
can't do that.
Yes,
There's only so many chances a commissioner has to speak. You got to speak at the draft. You got to speak, and basically at the World Series. That's basically it. Yeah. You have 2 places. You got to
get on the mic and say, "This is the deputy commissioner. He's come a long way, and his reward is presenting the commissioner."
He's still going to sound like garbage with that build-up.
You got to think quick, and there's a way out of that, so he doesn't sound like a goon on the field.
I don't know, man. I think you just got to take your medicine if you're Bobby Manfred and go out there and you got to battle. You got to grind through. He did it. What else are you going to do? Hold up cue cards? Have the deputy commissioner come out? I mean, it's just one job. The World Series it's the commissioner's trophy. You can't have the deputy
real
out there.
commissioner.
All right, so here is Rick Wilde, who runs the show down in the Kansas City area. And someone had the idea that if the World Series is handed out in Kansas City, I assume there was a San Francisco guy too, right? Like there was a Chevy guy that was working in San Francisco where if the World Series was going to be handed out there, they had Rick Wilde West ready to go in San Fran. But Rick Wilde, he got the nod because the Giants won the World Series in Kansas City. Madison Bumgarner was being awarded the MVP, and this is one of the all-time great clips.
Thanks, Madison. Congratulations. As the official sponsor or the official vehicle of Major League Baseball, Chevrolet is proud to participate in this prestigious award. Along with our dealers, we are also extremely honored to give back to this sport by supporting baseball in cities and towns across this nation. At Chevrolet, we have also been proud of the latest and greatest technology in our truck lineup, which is the all-new 2015 Chevy Colorado. It combines class-winning and leading, technology and stuff with Wi-Fi powered by OnStar, sitting there on screen. To recognize your performance in this 2014 World Series, I proudly present to you very own set of keys to a brand new 2015 Chevy, Colorado. Congratulations.
I don't know why, but that angle, I don't know if I've ever seen that one, and it was way better.
I don't remember seeing the whole thing, man. I don't remember going through the whole script. I don't know how we missed that for 9 years. And did you see the handshake he gave Bumgarner at the end? He was so happy he hit the finish line. And Bumgarner's sitting there looking at the commissioner. He's looking at Bud Selig saying, who made this decision to have Rick Wilde out here?
Technology and stuff.
Reading cue cards.
Yeah, cue card.
About the Chevy Colorado. Here's your keys. Technology.
Like, that's a
stuff.
part of television too. Like someone's got to get to Rick Wilde and say, "Do you want a teleprompter across, like so you can read?" You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do we need to teleport you in? Do you want to record it beforehand? And we'll use artificial intelligence.
Green screen them.
Green screen
the
them.
speech.
You need to be somewhere else reading off a script because we got to play that every hour.
Oh
That's
my
being
God.
played next hour and the 6 o'clock hour. I'm with you, man. I have not seen that angle.
That angle,
Bumgarner, Aaron
he
Andrews.
is sweating.
Oh, he's so
a mess.
he's so nervous. Like so nervous. He's in front of Madison Bumgarner handing out an MVP. This guy was selling cars 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
Just a wild scene.
And when you're really nervous, your heart beats
it's
faster.
choppy, the
and
palms
you,
are sweaty.
You feel like you could hear him. His breathing is struggling getting through that.
He's very, very uneasy. He's really uncomfortable. Hour 2 coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.